Good day, everyone. I am Jemercy Gonzalez, the first reporter of Study Hub 5. So today, I will be discussing to you the factors affecting child development. So, is the understanding of the many factors influencing child development is very important for future educators like us. It helps us create learner-centered classroom by knowing what affects a child's growth and learning. So now let's talk about the first factor, which is the prenatal factors. So the prenatal factors, these are the environmental influence that happen during pregnancy, which can affect how a baby develops inside the mother's womb. So here we have three key aspects of prenatal factor. So the first one is the maternal health. So the maternal health is the mother's health condition, such as if she has chronic illness or infection. It can affect the baby's growth and development. When a mother is not healthy, the baby's physical and mental development can also be affected. The second one is the nutrition. Proper maternal nutrition is very important because when a pregnant mother eats healthy food, it helps the baby's brain and organs develop properly. Lack of nutrition can lead to delays or problems in development. So the last one is the teratogens. The teratogens are the harmful substances like alcohol, tobacco, or certain drugs. If a pregnant woman is exposed to this, it can cause birth defects or disabilities in the child. So, as a future educators, we must understand that some children might have learning or behavioral challenges because of these prenatal factors. By knowing this, we can show more understanding and sensitivity in the classroom. And here is the application of prenatal factors. So first, we have for pre-service teachers or PST. We must recognize how prenatal factors can cause difficulties in learning or behavior. So we can handle students with care and empathy. The second we have is for learners. Teachers should advocate for resources and support services for students who were affected by prenatal condition such as early intervention or special education programs. So learning about the prenatal factors help us become more compassionate and effective teachers. It reminds us that every child's development is different and influenced by many things, even before they are born. So that's all for the first factor, which is the prenatal factor. I hope you understand and learn something about on it. And now we will proceed to the next reporter, and she will discuss to you the second factor.
Good day, everyone. Today I will be discussing about cognitive development, its definition and key theories, application for educators, and its implication specifically for pre-service teachers and learners. Cognitive development plays a central role in understanding how children think, reason, solve problems, and make sense of the world. By studying how children's intellectual abilities develop, educators can design more effective and developmentally appropriate learning experience. Definition of cognitive development. Cognitive development refers to the growth and refinement of intellectual abilities such as thinking, reasoning, problem solving, decision making, memory, and attention. It explains how children acquire knowledge and how their thinking challenges as they grow. First, Piaget's theory of cognitive development in 1952. Jean, Jean Piaget proposed that children process through four distinct stages such as sensomotor, pre-operational, concrete operational, and formal operational. Each stage represents a qualitatively different ways of thinking. Example, young children in the pre-operational stage think symbolically but struggle with logic and perspective thinking. Older children in the concrete operational stage begin applying logical reasoning to real situations. Children think differently at different age. Learning experiences must match their development stage. Second, or B, Vygotsky sociocultural theory in 1978. Lee Vygotsky emphasized the influence of social interaction, language, and culture. He introduced the zone of proximal development, or ZPD, to difference between what a child can do alone and what they can do with guidance. He also highlighted the importance of scaffolding, where adults provide temporary support to help a children new learns new tasks. Learning is a social process. Interaction with teachers and peers plays a major role in cognitive growth. 3. Information processing theory. Ziegler in 1998. This perspective compares the mind to computer and focuses on how children, like attend to information, store memories, develop strategies, improve executive function, or planning, organizing, self-control. Cognitive development is continuous. Children gradually become more efficient thinkers and problem solvers. Or implication for educators. Understanding cognitive development helps teachers to design developmentally appropriate activities, provide guided support based on the learner's CPT, encourage active learning, exploration, and independent thinking. Use strategies that enhance memory, attention, and listening. Adjust teaching based on each child's cognitive lines. Educators who understand these theories can create classrooms that are support, challenging, and responsive to learners' needs. Fifth, implication. First, we have guidance for PSD or pre-service teachers. Pre-service teachers can apply cognitive development principles. Good day, everyone. Today, I will be reporting about language development, one of the most important aspects of child's overall growth and learning. Language development refers to the process by which individuals acquire the ability to communicate. This includes both receptive language and understanding what others say and expressive language, which involves speaking and writing. It's through language that children learn to express their thoughts, feelings, and ideas, as well as to understand the world around them. These are the key aspects. First, we have early language exposure. According to Hart and Risley in 1995, early exposure to the language-rich environment is crucial for language and literacy development. Children who are frequently talked to, read to, and encouraged to communicate tend to develop stronger vocabularies and better comprehension skills. Example: simple daily conversation, storytelling, and singing with young children can greatly enhance their language skills. Second, we have social interaction. According to Cole in 2007, emphasizes that social interaction and caregiver responsiveness play a major role in the language development. When caregivers respond to a child's attempts to communicate, it it motivates the child to keep practicing language skills. Example: when a baby babbles and the parent responds with a smile or words, the baby learns to communicate has meaning. Third, we have bilingualism. According to Bialystok in 2001, found that bilingualism, learning more than one language, can enhance cognitive flexibility and linguistic awareness. This means that bilingual children are often better at problem solving and switching between tasks. Example, a child who speaks both English and Filipino can understand that words can have a different meanings in the different languages and easily adapt when communicating with others. Next, we have implications for educators. Understanding language develop helps teachers create language-rich classroom. This includes encouraging decisions, providing reading and writing opportunities, and support students who may have language delay or impairments. Educators also need to collaborate with speech-language pathologists when necessary to ensure that all students receive appropriate support. For PTS or pre-service teachers, as a future educator, we should create classrooms that promote communication with expression. We can do this by asking open-ended questions, engaging students in group decision, by engaging storytelling and language game into the lesson. For learners, educators should provide individualized instruction for students with language impairments. They can use assistive technologies such as speech-to-text tools and work with specialists to help students overcome language difficulty. Conclusion: language development is more than just learning to talk. It's the foundation of learning, thinking, and connecting with others. By understanding how language grows and how we can support it, teachers can make a lasting impact on every child's ability to communicate and succeed in life. Thank you for listening. Again, this is Sherlyn B. L. Serino, your third reporter.
So, good morning everyone. I am Erica Tuayon from Group 5. So, I am the reporter number 5. So, today we're going to tackle about social development. So, what is social development? So, social development refers to the gradual growth of an individual ability to interact with others, build relationships, understand social norms, and functions effectively within society. It is an essential dimension of human development because it influences communication, emotional well-being, and overall adjustment in different social environment. So, including the home, school, and the community. So, in social development, there is a key aspect which is attachment theory, peer relationship, social emotional learning, and social norms and values. So, what is attachment theory? It is by Rowley by 1988. So, it is early attachment relationship with caregiver significantly influence a child's social competence, trust, emotional stability, and overall well-being. And the number two is peer relationship. Peer interaction are essential for developing communication skill, cooperation, identity formations, and social adjustment. Positive. Positive peers relationship promote teamwork, empathy, and conflict resolution skill. And number three, emotional learning or CEL. CEL programs help students development, self-awareness, self-management, and social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision making. And for number four, the social norms and values. So as the children grow, the learning, the expectations, rules, and values of the society. Understanding social norms help them appropriately and different setting and develop moral awareness. So that's it all. Once again, I am Erica Tuayon, the reporter number 5.
Hi everyone. Today let's talk about emotional development, a very important part of who we are and how we interact with others every day. So, what is emotional development? Emotional development refers to how we understand, express, and manage our emotions as we grow. For example, when we were little, we might cry when we're sad or angry. But as we get older, we learn better ways to express those feelings, like talking about what's wrong or calming ourselves down. It's basically how about learning how to handle our feelings in a healthy way. Let's look at the three main aspects that shape our emotional growth. The first one is emotional regulation. That means learning how to control our emotions in different situations. If you study hard for a test but you didn't get the grade you expected, instead of getting super angry or crying, you take a deep breath and reflect and promise to do better next time. That's emotional regulation. Managing your feelings so they don't control you. According to Thompson, 1994, learning to manage emotions is crucial because it helps us handle stress, make good decisions, and maintain healthy relationships with others. Next is temperament. This is your natural way of reacting to things. According to Rothbard and Bates 2006, temperament influences both how strongly we react emotionally and how well we can control those emotions. Some people are naturally calm and patient, while others get excited or upset easily. For example, two children might experience the same event. One cries quickly, the other stays calm. That's because they have different temperaments. As teacher or future educators, understanding a child's temperament help us support them better. We can adjust our approach depending on how they react emotionally. The third one is adverse childhood experiences or ACEs. These are difficult or traumatic experiences a child might go through, like neglect, abuse, or losing a loved one. These experiences can deeply affect how a person understands and controls their emotions even later in life. According to Felitti et al. 1998, exposure to trauma can have lasting effect on a person's emotional development and mental health. For example, a student who experiences trauma might find it hard to trust teachers or express their feelings. That's why educators need to be sensitive and supportive because we never fully know what a child might have been through. So, what does this mean for teachers or future teachers? When we understand emotional development, we can create a classroom where students feel safe, understood, and supported. We can promote emotional regulation by teaching students how to calm down, express feelings respectfully, and resolve conflicts peacefully. And we can also apply trauma informed practices, meaning we respond to students with care and empathy, not punishment. So, let's talk about how we can apply this knowledge. Both us pre-service teachers, PSTs, and learners as future educators. You can use what you've learned about emotional development to build a safe and supportive classroom environment. For example, if a student is upset, instead of scolding them right away. So this shows empathy and helps students trust you more. Students can also learn ways to manage their own emotions because teachers can teach mindfulness, simple breathing exercises to calm down or teach students to pause and think before reacting. When they feel angry or frustrated, if a classmate says something hurtful, instead of shouting back, a student can take a deep breath and say, that hurt my feelings. Can we talk about it? This small step build emotional intelligence and make the classroom a kinder place. So to sum up, emotional development help us understand our feelings, express them properly, and handle them in healthy ways. So, by learning emotional regulation, understanding temperament, and being aware of childhood experiences, we can create schools where everyone feels safe, supported, and respected. So, that's all because when they feel emotionally secure, they learn better, connect better, and grow better.
Good day again, everyone. I came back again, so now I will be discussing the last factor, which is the moral development. So, the moral development means the growth of our moral reasoning, values, and ethical behavior. In simple terms, it's how a person learns what is right and wrong and how they act according to their values. So now let's move on to the key aspect of moral development. So the first one is the Kohlberg's theory. According to Lawrence Kohlberg, people go through different stages of moral reasoning. We start by making choices to avoid punishment or gain rewards. And as we mature, we begin to follow moral principles based on justice and universal values. The second is the social cognitive theory. Albert Bandura explained that moral development is also shaped by social learning. This means that children learn moral behavior by observing others like parents, teachers, and peers, and thinking about how their actions affect others. And the third one is the empathy. So the empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. It's very important in moral decision making because it helps us act kindly and think about how our choices affect people around us. So next, let's talk about the implication of educators. As future educators, understanding moral development can help us guide our students to become respectful and responsible individuals. We can encourage them to talk about ethical issues, practice empathy, and show good behavior in class. For application, for pre-service teachers or PST, we can use this knowledge to create a positive classroom environment that teaches respect, honesty, and social responsibility. For learners, teachers can organize moral discussion, encourage students to see different perspectives, and promote community service or group projects that develop kindness and cooperation. So, for the conclusion, moral development is an important part of a child's overall growth. By understanding it, teachers can help students build not only their minds but also their character, preparing them to become good and responsible member of the society. So that's all for my report on the moral development. I hope you learned something about on it, and to the others who have been report their part. Thank you and goodbye.